excited about the interchain. You guys aren't letting the bear market make you sad and give up, right? Like, no, there's cool stuff. Oh, wait, let me go back. Nope. Okay, here we go. So, I'm here to talk today about interchain apps. Not enough people are talking about interchain apps. I'm actually only going to mention Juno one time during this slide. So even if you don't care about that, you might want to listen in. So we're at the beginning of the new interchain paradigm. We were previously in this multi-chain world where we had many different L1s and really shitty bridges between them. And now we're in this like interconnected world, and look at the interchain circa 2023. There's over 60 blockchains. Wow, that's pretty exciting. But it's just the beginning. IBC enables new types of applications that weren't possible before, and that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about interchain apps. I want to talk about interchain protocols. And guess what? There's no better place to talk about interchain applications than at a HackWasm conference, right? Than at HackWasm, because the reality is that HackWasm is the best way to build IBC applications. Let's talk about why for like 2 seconds. It's a great developer experience for writing IBC protocols. Like, really, really nice. Kudos to Confio team. I think a main reason is faster go-to-market. So why did we choose, HackWasm for mesh security? It's much faster to actually write the protocols itself. I'd say like 10x faster, and then also deploying the protocols. So how do you deploy an IBC protocol? Well, if you write it in a Go module, you have to convince everyone to upgrade their chain. And then guess what? Everyone's using different Cosmos SDK versions. There's some people are using forks of the Cosmos SDK. And so then the rollout of a new IBC protocol takes months, and sometimes even longer than that. And another great thing is that we're starting to see HackWasm everywhere. Isn't this interesting? We have things like composable finance. There's rumors of some HackWasm going more places, like an Avalanche project, and there's even other rumors that are circulating around. I'm not going to comment on those, but I think it's important that we can also just deploy IBC protocols on new HackWasm chains, right? That might not be using the Cosmos SDK. And then you can interact with native modules if you want to, but anyway. Yet not enough people are building interchain apps. Not enough people are building IBC applications. I think part of the problem is we have a hard time conceptualizing what they even are. We're so based in the old world of oh, you're just going to do everything on your one chain to rule them all or whatever, that not enough people are thinking about them. So that's what I want to do. I want to get you thinking about them. And the best way to get people thinking about it is to talk about okay, what do we mean by this term interchain apps or interchain protocols? It's really just I think there's kind of two flavors, right? At the most basic level, it's a protocol that's deployed across many chains, right? That's what makes it an interchain protocol. It's something that's deployed over many chains, connected over IBC. It may or may not involve building a custom IBC application, a custom IBC protocol. Or, you might choose to build on top of an existing IBC application, something like Polytone or ICS 999. You could leverage these to build your own interchain application without having to build a new IBC standard, right? But I think the cool thing about interchain apps is that take advantage of the network effects resulting from presence on multiple chains, which ultimately leads to more users and more usage. Why would you deny yourself more users and more usage because you feel like you have to be locked in on just one chain? Protocols don't want that, at least the smart ones don't. So let's talk about some examples of IBC apps. Mesh security. This is a kind of complicated one, right? But it's a good one. And again, it's built with HackWasm, and during HackWasm, we're actually going to be #MakeMeshReal, and we're going to be shipping a front end for actual mesh security. We have Onmol from the Starship project has been working really hard the past 10 days. We have 2 chains running in an environment with a Hermes relayer in between them, and all this mesh security smart contracts uploaded, and then it automates like going through the whole governance process to get the connection set up, and we'll actually, fingers crossed, hopefully be able to try mesh security, even if you're not a developer, in a couple days. So let's see how that goes. We did good last year at HackWasm, and just to kind of reiterate the point of why HackWasm is the best for building IBC protocols, last year during HackWasm, granted it was Ethan, myself, and Sunny on a team, which is a little bit unfair, we were able to implement a real working cross-staking prototype in 2 days. Try doing that and go. So like another great example, and also shout out to Mars Protocol for really kind of putting forward this idea is like, okay, cool things like custom IBC protocols like mesh security, that's like really cool. But like here's a little simpler model that you might want to use for your application. And it's a really simple idea, it's outposts, right? And shout out to Mars Protocol for pushing this forward. There's many other chains that are interested in outposts as well, like Osmosis and Stargaze. It's a really interesting model. You should definitely check it out. But the idea is like you have a central hub, could be a DAO on Juno, could be your own app chain, right? And then again, you're not going to limit yourself. You deploy your protocol or on outposts on other chains. So go everywhere, right? This is a really simple model, and if you're building products out there, definitely consider this. It's really interesting. Croncat. This is really, really a great example of, I think, an interchain protocol. It is a protocol that's implemented in HackWasm smart contracts, right? It enables, it's basically if this, then that for Web3. Now, they could have been like, oh, maybe we should build an app chain for Croncat, right? And then we'll just have Osmosis or Juno or whatever. They'll just call this third-party app chain over IBC. Now this might sound really, really good, but I think for something like Cron that could be critical infrastructure, projects maybe don't want to outsource that to a third-party chain that they don't control. Yeah, Croncat. It's an app, and they just deploy it everywhere, right? It's going to be on Archway. It's going to be on Neutron. It's going to be on Osmosis. It's going to be on Juno. That's how you get a lot more developer adoption. And I think depending on what your type of protocol is, you might want to start thinking about a multi-chain or an interchain strategy for your product. Abstract is another one of these. They're building abstractions for all the things in the interchain. If you want to support all the different dexes there are, I can't even keep track of all the dexes in Cosmos anymore. There's so many. If you want to support them all with a simple interface that never changes, you can use something like Abstract, and they handle all, keeping up to date with all the different integrations. The new Osmosis update that just came out today. As a product developer, maybe you're building a dashboard or some sort of DeFi protocol that leverages other DeFi protocols. This makes your life a lot easier. And they're really thinking interchain about their protocol and deploying it everywhere and integrating everything. Connect all the things. There's a theme. And then also, obviously, you all knew this was coming. Well, DAO. We've been just on Juno, but that's all about to change because DAOs everywhere. Everyone needs DAOs. We're deploying DAO across the interchain. And more than that, we also are finally shipping interchain DAO tooling. DAOs can now control accounts on other chains. So we have some UI examples for this. They use Juno testnet, so we're actually controlling a testnet account from mainnet. But DAO is going to be on Osmosis very, very soon. And so soon you're going to see Osmosis there. You'll be able to create a cross-chain account on Osmosis. So just imagine that in your mind. So here we have a proposal to create a cross-chain account. After it's created, you can see the account with its balances and all the same info in your DAO treasury. You can seamlessly spend from that account. So you would expect that, right? I want to spend money from my account on Osmosis or whatever. But you can also do things that you might not expect. You can execute any smart contract. You can even instantiate smart contracts. So how about that? If you want to do an outpost style thing, you can actually upload code on permissionless chains at least, and you can instantiate code, and you can execute code from a DAO on wherever your home chain is. That's the real kind of cross-chain composability that I've wanted for a long time. And so yeah, what are interchain DAOs going to do? Basically anything really. You can mint and trade NFTs on Stargaze without ever having to send them over ICS 721. You can manage concentrated liquidity on Osmosis. You could govern maybe the Atom economic zone. That could be cool. You can host decentralized infrastructure on a cache, or you can have DAO-owned liquidity across the cosmos. I've got this crazy idea with the Juno community pool and Polytone. What if Juno could just have a presence on all the other chains? The Juno community just has an account on all the other chains. And what if all the other communities started doing this as well, where we become this much more intertwined mesh, right? A much more intertwined ecosystem. Hopefully that can lead to more positive vibes. And so yeah, how is this all made? Well, Polytone, powering interchain DAOs and protocols. And guess what? It's freely licensed and open source, and you can use it today. So it supports interchain accounts and queries, which is really sick. It works on any HackWasm chain. There's no custom SDK modules needed, so that's pretty sick. Smart contracts can use it. Can you believe that ICA doesn't work with smart contracts currently? That's kind of crazy. It has callbacks, because if you do something like send some money or call a message on another chain, you want to know if it was successful, right? How are you going to build an interchain DeFi protocol if you don't get a callback back and knowing that that was successful? So it has callbacks. It's open source. It's audited. And I was talking with Larry. It's probably upgradable to ICS 999. So we'll have to figure out how that works. I'm really excited. The two are not mutually exclusive. But Polytone works today, and it works using ICS 20. And this is not a tech talk, but if you're interested about Polytone, come see me after. It's pretty sick. And this is just more stuff that was incubated on Juno. It's we're doing things. Who's helping with mesh security and Osmosis? Kudos to the Osmosis team. Confio is doing amazing work on mesh security. And we have some Juno devs as well, Joseph, Reese helping review SDK code, myself trying to keep things together. It's and we've built things like Polytone and also DAO. So, incubator for the interchain. This is my only Juno slide. I'm just trying to make a point. Some people are just building boring shit out there, and we're pushing the boundaries, and we're going to continue to do so. Juno is at its best when it's an experimental chain, and we're going to go back to our roots. And so I'm really looking forward to when the next upgrade comes out, we're going to be able to connect to Polytone for the first time, or not to Polytone, to Polkadot for the first time. That'll be cool. So, yeah. But really the point of this talk was not to, show the stuff we've been doing. It's more to get you to think about what can be built with cross-chain smart contracts. Because I don't think enough people are really thinking about this. Outposts are really cool, right? But what else? What else could we build? Well, here's an idea. Have you ever heard of Yearn Finance? Yearn Finance is this protocol on Ethereum, and it has these strategies, and it leverages all the DeFi protocols that are on Ethereum. Things like Maker and Compound, and they put together these strategies, and it uses all those different DeFi protocols to give you extra yield. What if we made an interchain version of this same thing, where you could leverage the opportunities that might exist on Neutron or Juno or Osmosis or Archway or wherever? Yearn Finance for the interchain. Someone should do it. Covenants. Shout out to TimeWave here. They've been really kind of helping refine this concept of what do mutual interchain agreements look like between different DAOs on different chains or between different chains themselves? How do we create systems where we can trustlessly, as sovereign communities, interact with each other? How could Juno and Osmosis team up for shared liquidity, right? they've got Osmo in their treasury, we've got Juno in our treasury. Is there a way we could actually build like interchain agreements that allow us to work together in a trustless way, so we don't have to like create a multi-sig to then go do the thing and then trust those people to do the right thing? There's got to be a better way. So covenants, the idea of interchain agreements, these are really interesting things to start exploring. What kinds of interchain agreements might you like to make? Whether you're coming from it as a chain or as, you know, an app developer, start asking these questions. What do DAO to DAO deals in the interchain start looking like? Maybe there's some interesting products there. And I mean, again, kudos to the TimeWave team for like doing a lot of thinking on this concept, and I encourage you to read what they put out. All right, here's another one. And maybe someone wants to like, you know, help me work on this. It's a liquid, we all know what liquid staking is, right? What about liquid mesh staking, right? Because, you know, if it's kind of the same thing, right? You lock up your asset, but you could lock it up in a more profitable way. Like maybe instead of just like staking the asset, you also mesh secure it to secure the interchain and earn some additional rewards. So maybe, you know, anyone wants to work on that, please talk to me. But then I think even more importantly, imagine new types of mesh protocols. Like we're just at the beginning of this interchain era. What are other things that could be like emergent in like a mesh sort of way, where like multiple teams or multiple chains or multiple projects can like coordinate in a mesh? Like maybe something like a mesh name service. You know, we've had this, you know, a little bit of drama about like, oh, where should the name service go? Should it be on the hub? Should it be on Osmosis? Should it be on Stargaze? Should it be on Juno? Should it be on, and on and on and on, right? Could we create something like a mesh name service where all those chains can be like sort of membership in like this larger like ICANN like entity? Like, and they all could still have their individual name services, but you have like the equivalent of like the root DNS, like, you know, maybe we should start thinking about things like that. Mesh governance, right? This is another issue. Like, we've been talking a lot about public goods here. How do we come together as an ecosystem to like, you know, have shared treasury for funding public goods? Where would that live, right? What if there is some sort of mesh governance protocol that you could make so that Osmosis and Cosmos Hub and Juno and anyone else interested in contributing to public goods, which you should all do, maybe they wouldn't have to ask the same question of where should this DAO or where should this treasury live? What if it could live in the mesh? So, you know, think more about different types of mesh protocols, mesh name services, mesh governance. What other things might make sense in a more ecosystem-wide environment? So yeah, those are some ideas. If you're interested in building any of these, come talk to me. It'll be, I think, worth your time. And maybe we can hack on some of these at the hackathon. We're definitely gonna be hacking on mesh security at the hackathon, so we already kind of have a team for that, but if you're really keen, feel free to reach out. But lastly, I have a little announcement. And it's not maybe the announcement you were kind of expecting. That's gonna come at maybe another conference later. We're launching a society. It's a society of developers. It's a club. It's an interchain devs, right? This is not just Juno only, right? Like that's boring, right? No, we're gonna get the best and brightest minds, and we're gonna get them together, and we're gonna organize it around a guild structure. So we've got some amazingly talented people that can, you know, that have shipped some amazing things, and they can be, you know, sort of masters in the guild structure. And then we have a lot of people that are working. They actually have some skills. They're building things. They maybe haven't shipped a product yet that's like super well used, but you know, they're sort of at the journeyman level. And then we also need to create resources for the people that are complete beginners. They've never written a smart contract before. They might be a developer. They might be a designer, but they've never designed a Web3 application. And so when you join Lead Society, you don't have to sign any terms. It's not an investment fund. We're not gonna make you sign away your intellectual property rights or whatever. You could do that. It's a club, right? And in the club, you get access to mentorship, education. I think a lot of the best education in CosmWasm comes peer-to-peer style. It's like on CosmWasm Twitter. Like you have to like follow Larry to like get access to like all the like, kind of biggest alpha on like what's happening in HackWasm. So how do we spread that kind of peer-to-peer learning into like more people? There's going to be some bounties, and there's going to be a lot of networking. Because say you've got a great idea and you're a decent dev, but maybe you're not a designer, or maybe you're not a front-end engineer. And how do you meet those people? How do you meet those people that are going to be part of like that next supergroup team that's going to launch the next biggest app chain? Well, maybe in a society. And then also we've got some, I'll just call it exclusive opportunities for being a member of the society. I think there's a rumor going around that there might be some funds, like investment funds, that are really interested in investing in teams and the output of Leet Society. So it's another interesting thing. And we're recruiting. We're going to launch this thing at HackWasm, and it'll be a fun experiment, a fun little DAO game. But let's see what we can make it. So if you're interested in joining Leet Society, everyone here is invited. And finally, just to close it out, we're building alliances, right? It's time to bury the hatchets. We're all sick of the drama. It's not going to make people come to this ecosystem. Our ecosystem is fundamentally tied together. And we might get in this small-minded view of like, there could be only one winner take all. There can only be one DEX. There can only be one whatever. It doesn't actually work that way. People judge us as an ecosystem. And let's get back to not like fighting about things, but getting people excited about the interchain. The highest highs of Cosmos were the days of hashtag IBC gang, where like, yeah, there was like competing projects or whatever, but everyone shilled the ecosystem. And that's what we got to get back to. Like, shill the interchain. It's an exciting idea, and it's exciting enough to get even people in Ethereum interested in it. But no one's going to be interested in joining like a space where there's just like all this petty drama and fighting over like a smaller and smaller pie. If we really want to turn this around, it's time to bury the hatchets. So we're building alliances. If you want to chat DAO, if you want to partner with Juno Network, like, come talk to me. I'm serious. Like, let's start working together a little bit better. Let's start building some better vibes. Everyone likes the better vibes. Remember when, just a couple like months ago, like Osmosis and Cosmos Hub, Atom Accelerator, they teamed up to fund mesh security and make it possible. And it felt good. It's like, oh, great. They're not fighting. They can actually work together for something that will like advance the ecosystem. And so, yeah, we're building alliances. You want data on your chain? You want to partner with Juno Network and our crazy, secret society of devs? We're down. So, and I would encourage all of you to be like, set aside your personal differences, make peace. We all said shit in the past. It's fine. We can move on. And yeah, let's make this interchain thing. The interchain is the future. It's going to be big.